Hey there, Data Nation. It's Ryan, and welcome back. We have episode 4 of the Data Driven Startup, and today is where things really start to get cooking. We finally made a decision about our domain name, which, again, we kind of mixed the results that you had given us to make our own decision about which one we wanted to use, but we did come up with one, and we even take that to the next level. We started provisioning our WordPress website, which we will be using in the coming weeks to promote the book and to add different content to it. Hopefully set up a newsletter. There's a bunch of things we have planned, but Alan and I really enjoyed this one. It's a little bit shorter than some of the other ones, but we had a good time, and we hope that you enjoy.
Oh, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I just went ahead and clicked the record button so that we can should we capitalize on all those nuggets that we normally on.
Watch this. This is the one show that will be like nugget free. We'll be like, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, well, or something will happen, like the audio will get fucked up or something like that'll happen. Cool. How you doing?
As per usual. Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm like a little overwhelmed, mostly in a good way. I just got like all my various things. I had like 5 or 6 new biz calls just in the last couple of days, and then bakery stuff, working on bakery stuff. I actually like
that for some reason that just totally blows my mind that you have so many diverse irons in the fire. Like
that's it. I mean, it's fungi. Fungi is my main thing. And then what we do, and then the bakery. That's I don't want to take anything else on. I've definitely like partnered in other things in the past. Like I was part of
I mean, honestly, like to get more weird than that, and the next thing would have to be like submarine captain or something. Like,
I mean, that would be cool as hell, except I don't like the idea of being in like a enclosed metal object underwater. That's more terrifying.
That's for weirdos like Luke Bruce. That doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, so other than that, I'm doing good. I mean, baby's doing great. She's just her sleeping's a little hit or miss, which more so affects my wife during the day because I'm not at the house. Most of the day I'm at the office, but at night she's been sleeping pretty decently. So
yeah,
fortunate about that. How about you?
I've been doing well. Has it been an entire week since we last talked? Usually, like, we're wildly inconsistent with production. So
I know.
When was the last time we recorded?
Yeah, we recorded last week.
Last Thursday. Yeah.
Oh,
that's right. We were gonna do one like on Monday, like
an
in between episode.
I forgot to send you the invite, and then I was not at the house.
That's right. It was your failure. Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of that.
No, you're much more. You're more reliable than I am. But as far as the audience
only when it comes to social media production.
You're good at that. You're really good. You're very, very good at that. And I appreciate you also, just for anybody listening, like Al and I will text each other. Like I'll text him when the videos go live, but Al will text me instead of like, because he knows I'm not on LinkedIn all the time, I will get texts from Al with like links to his posts where he has commented my name so that I respond to it quickly. It's like a LinkedIn coach, which could be another service, that we offer later on down the road. Just for like, the consulting rate of what, like $300 an hour. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because there's been an ongoing discussion, not only on some group chats that I'm on, but I kind of posted about it today. There's this whole thing. I will get into it on a completely separate video devoted only to this subject, but there's just this thing on LinkedIn, especially in analytics and data, anything relating to that field. There are so many people on LinkedIn that will hit you up for help
Oh,
but
I
it's
saw
not
that. The
help.
person that said, "Look at my resume."
Exactly. It's not help, it's do work for me.
Oh,
Free work. And it's just, it happens all the time. And it's, like recently I get hit up by a guy that was like, hey, can you evaluate my data project? And I generally look just out of sheer morbid curiosity. And I looked at this guy's project and it just wasn't good. I mean, it was kind of basic level stuff, just some summary stats and a couple of bar graphs. And his presentation, first of all, he only showed me his presentation, so I didn't see any of the data. He had done like a word cloud on some YouTube video titles. Nothing, I mean, I think he had used Beautiful Soup and done some basic web scraping, but nothing you couldn't do after a couple of intro classes on DataCamp. And then he had put together a couple of bar graphs. They were monochromatic. The whole presentation was like black and yellow, and not even like kind of a bright, popping yellow. It was like this like awful, like Steelers terrible towels kind of drab yellow. So the whole thing was just, it was visually unappealing to the point of being like kind of difficult to look at. That, and like he'd done nothing really with the analysis, and the whole thing was like, he was making recommendations to a company on their YouTube strategy. And so I looked at it, I was like, okay, this isn't very interesting. And I kind of just ignored the guy. And then like a week later, he was like, hey, can you spare some time to look at my project? So I'm like, all right, well, yeah, he's asked me twice and he's been more or less polite about it. And I remembered looking the first time being like, yes, it's not real good. So I was like, well, let me exercise my diplomacy and see if I can kind of call a guy's baby ugly and be nice about it. So yeah, I basically just told him, it's like, look, dude, I don't understand the color scheme. Like, this is very weird choices. It doesn't make your graphs look good. I was like, your analytics is nothing impressive. It's you've taken some stats and run them through probably ggplot2 or something to make a bar graph, and a couple of pie charts, and you've got a slideshow, and did a little simple word cloud with his YouTube titles. And I was like, if you wanted to do something impressive, maybe like something that would take the script of the YouTube video and then do some sort of NLP with that, and just something sort of next level. Like you've taken YouTube video titles and told me what the most common words are. That's not useful. Yeah. And I just said, you've billed this as recommendations for a YouTube strategy. I was like, I don't see that on what you've done. So I kind of let him down easy. And then he came back and it was like the reasons why he did everything. And it kind of, read, maybe this was my bias, but it kind of read like excuses. But it was, I did this way, and black and yellow were the company's colors. I'm like, okay, well that doesn't mean every single thing has to be black and yellow. Anyway, getting off onto other topics, but so anyway, but he sent me the data set, which I didn't really ask for. I just said, hey, I don't see the data, so I'm just going off of your graphs. Sent me the data set and then said, would you give me like, tell me what you do to fix it? And I was just like, hey man, I got to be honest with you. I've invested all the time that I'm going to invest on this topic. And I just said, I've told you what I think. If you choose to go ahead and remedy those things, that's awesome, and if you revise the presentation, maybe I'll take a look at it again if you come back with something else. But that's happened a lot. And most of the time I usually will just kind of ignore the people. But that like first connection, like hitting people up for help, which is like, ask this incredibly vague question: how do I get into data analytics? Good God, man, there's, thousands, millions probably of hours worth of material on that you can find in a Google search or on YouTube or wherever. And so,
I mean, if you have, sorry, I know you're kind of like venting, and I agree. I think it's like super annoying to,
yeah.
Which is not to say like, I don't think like you're not And I wouldn't like discourage people from like reaching out to like ask questions and stuff. It's just kind of, it's sort of like the idea of like, don't like put the work on me. Like if it's like an interesting question, as opposed to like do the work for me or something like that, then I think that an interesting question is much more likely to get a response
Yeah.
uh, than like, hey, I did this, can you look at it and critique it, and then, oh, by the way, also like what would you do to make it better? It's like we're not really, honestly, like John David's channel is the place to go for that stuff. Like
Yep.
go check out how to get an analytics job. I'll include a link to that down below in the comments. Or just type in how to get an analytics job. And he's got so much
First thing that comes up.
material. He probably has a whole video on how to get into data analytics. I'm sure he does. Like
Many.
yeah,
Like every facet of it, he's got something on it.
he's
So
really got
and
it well
and
covered.
whatever gaps he's got, Alex Freberg, go
Yeah,
go find him. He's got
Alex,
hundreds of videos on that very topic.
yeah, or
So
Kenji, or there's a
yep.
bunch of guys out there. YouTube would be the place to go for that stuff. Don't bother Al. Stop bothering Al about it, okay?
I'm happy to do it. The thing is, here's the thing that really bugs me. It's like people ask you for help, resume review, profile review, look at my project, whatever. And then, like I said, I care about people, share morbid curiosity, whatever. I see a problem, I want to fix it. So I look at their LinkedIn profile, it's crap. I tell them what's wrong with it. And then I never hear from them again. So it's like, I've noticed this pattern, and it's like anything else. If you give someone something for free, they don't value it.
Right.
And so if somebody is a new connection and they come in and they say, can I have a favor? And you give them the favor and there's no strings attached, then there's no strings attached. And they ghost you, and the relationship's over. And I think people are motivated to ditch you at that point, because then they're like, oh, now I owe this guy something. Like he's gonna have to pay the piper at some point.
Yeah.
Which is not the case. It's just like, hey, like, send me a message in 3 months and tell me, like, did my advice work? Did you get a job? Like, I'd love to know. So, anyway, so all of that leading up to, I'm just gonna like reinvigorate my Calendly to where I have appointments for people. And honestly, if you're not a veteran, like there's going to be a fee. I'm trying to decide like how much, but it's like, okay, I'll give you my time, but you're going to put some skin in the game, because obviously the other way, is not working. I expect 90% of the people will just be like, no, I'm not paying. Like, cool, best of luck to you.
I think you'll be surprised though. You might want to be careful. I would probably rate yourself at like $300 an hour. So if you're going to do like a 30-minute, then $150.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do it, and if it like whether it's a resume review or whatever, but when I think about it, and John David and I have talked about this a fair amount in like his pricing strategies for like the certification courses and the different courses, the online courses and stuff that he has done. The amount, it's not about the price. Like you're right, like a bunch of people are either going to be like, well, it's not worth it to me, because they're not because they're not willing to commit to the improvement. They just want the easy cheap stuff. But when you think about it, like if you like sitting down and reviewing a resume with somebody for an hour helps them to get a job, that is, I mean, to go from like no job to a job, or to go from a $50,000 salary to a $75,000 salary, that is a significant increase in income and well worth a couple $100, So I think, that, I mean, that's just my 2 cents, but that's how I do it. And yeah, I mean, it's out there. There's a lot. I think, I mean, the opportunities for folks like you to help consult the brilliant young minds of today are limitless.
All I need are young minds for molding.
Young minds for
Or middle-aged
Gotta be
minds or old minds, I don't care.
some in that 18,000. I think, I mean, I feel like you should still charge your veterans too, but maybe give them a discount or something. Only because it's the same psychology. Like if you offer it for free, they're not gonna. And I'm not trying to say, because I know that folks that have gone through the military are a lot more driven, at least have been in my experience. But I still think you should charge them. But maybe you could give them a discount or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, good. My gardeners are here. This is fun.
Excellent.
If that becomes completely obnoxious, maybe I can work something out. I don't know. I probably can't actually.
It's not so bad. I guess we'll see when he comes by the front. Okay, let's jump into it. So
this is actually not going to take very long at all. Really, there's only one thing to talk about, I think.
And that is, what domain name are we gonna pick for our? Well, no, I think today was gonna be like the little, like we'll get the domain name. We'll go ahead and like start getting the site set up.
Yeah, true.
So this is interesting to me. 105 people. And so like basically like 55-ish voted for Data Brand and like 45-ish voted for your Data Brand.
It's 56 to 49.
56 to 49
was the margin. Yeah.
And then my poll was like, I only had like 15 people respond.
You had 11 to 6 the other way. Yeah. So you had yourdatabrand.com by 5 votes. And I had it the other way by 7. Now, in the interest of total fairness, I should say that I voted for yourdatabrand.com in both polls. So I don't know if I should take one off, but either way.
Well, I voted for Data Brand on both polls. So I feel
okay.
I feel like it balances out.
Yeah. I think regardless, so Data Brand is the winner by a very narrow margin. However, I will put this caveat on it. Mm-hmm. I did not. So I know that the other domains are kind of, for good reason, somewhat inferior to the .com because everybody identifies .com as the domain name. What I would say is that the people have spoken. We've pledged to give the people what they want. And that is Data Brand, the shorter of the two. However, I would say that we go with a different domain if possible. I know that the .io is a thing, because obviously if people fat finger it or just think it's .com and they put that extra letter in there, our traffic's going to a different site. Whereas if they see .io or .org or whatever, far more likely to notice that and not mistake it for .com. Thoughts?
Yeah. I thought we should go with this "we brand you in your shower.com" domain that Robert posted in there.
He can always take any comment thread to the weirdest place imaginable.
I did, so I saw some of the qualifying, the more these types of responses, like what Matt put, someone who formerly had a .co vote for the .com because a number of times people tell me it was a typo or something along those lines. Like there's a little bit of confusion between the two domains. Mm-hmm. I want to keep in mind, so I really do. I think we need, at a certain point, we're going to need to actually use the data to make decisions, because it's called the data-driven startup.
Yeah. So, well, that's what I'm saying. Like on my poll, it was quite clear that people were like, hey, the shorter name is better. And they liked Data Brand better. That was a clear winner. But there were a lot of comments that said, stay away from the .co.
Yeah. I think,
and somebody even specifically said .io is fairly common now, so it's that's not that big a deal as opposed to the .com, but the potential for people mistakenly typing in .com is high.
Yeah. Well, So I kind of am leaning towards yourdatabrand.com then, and I'll tell you, well, for a couple of reasons. Like one, .io, we're gonna have to buy another domain, which I don't really want to do. I've already bought like 7 or 8 or however, and it's like they're only like $15 a year, but
Yeah.
just one more to keep track of. I do think the .com is like kind of more the relevant, even though like I like Databrand just like by itself, which is why the .co is kind of nice. But I feel like looking at the quantitative data here versus like, and I want to know, all you people in the comments who are talking about the .com, did you all vote for .com or did you vote for .co, and then tell us that we should do .com because of that? I want to know. I wish we could match back. Can you match back each of these individuals to what they chose, what they voted for?
I think so, yeah.
Because like if Ralph chose .co, but then said .com, I'm gonna be upset with Ralph.
Ralph Hightower. I mean, Ralph's a good connection, but I especially like him because Hightower is one of the families in Game of Thrones. So.
Oh yeah.
Did you watch the new show?
We did. We watched it on Monday, I think.
Ralph Hightower did in fact vote for yourdatabrand.com.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing I'm thinking, so like yours is just more statistically significant than mine, but like if we were to combine the two data sets from the two audiences, I don't think it's not too skewed. So you said how many on mine?
Mine went by 7, yours went by 5. So the Databrand.co is the winner by 2 votes out of what, 120 or so? Yeah.
Man, that's such a slim margin.
Although if you want to go by clout, I mean, so yourdatabrand.com has no lesser leading lights than Susan Walsh, Kate Strachny, Ravit Jain, Abe Diaz, me, Robert Sievert, Matt Bratton, Antti Rask, I think is how you say his name, but he's a stud. Eric Sims, Ralph Hightower, Dr. Subra Mukherjee, who is a great follow. If you're not following her, go do that. Michael Green, Ultrix Ninja, Avery Smith. Yeah, so there are some luminaries that voted for that. And let's see what Databrand.co ranks on the clout factor.
I mean, Ryan Forrest, that takes it right to the top. I mean,
there's that.
You're gonna
yes,
need to look past that.
Indeed, that is huge. Yeah, they're not nobodies. I mean, I value each of these people and their contributions, but yeah, it certainly seems like the lead. Paula S, good friend, great follow. If you're not following Paula S, she just goes by Paula S. But Paula's Picks on YouTube, she's a good contributor on here. But yeah, good friends of mine and smart people, but not well known. Other than you, you are famous. So
I don't know which circles I'm famous in, but thanks for that. All right,
we're going to Greensboro digital marketing, networking, something.
That's true. I am well known.
There you go.
Greensboro digital marketing community.
Do you remember the movie Singles? The Bridget Fonda. It was more famous for the soundtrack than it was. Matt Dillon was in it, so it was kind of like the anthem movie of the grunge scene in Seattle in the 90s. So anyway, yeah, so Matt Dillon is like the front man of this like horrible grunge band that just happens to have like Eddie Vedder as like the drummer and, you know, all of these famous musicians in the band, but like the band was terrible.
That's funny.
And so he constantly is like talking about like, we are well loved in Japan and Bahrain, or, you know, like it just names random foreign countries where they're supposedly selling tons of records, even though like everybody hates them in the United States. So yeah, just saying like, I'm huge in Greenville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really well known in Kernersville.
Yeah. I don't know where that is, but it sounds like a tiny burg
It's like
somewhere in the
it's
mid-north of North Carolina.
yeah, it's like between Greensboro and Winston-Salem. It's a little
Gotcha.
town.
Kind of like Cedar Point. I mean, we're a blip on the map here.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm not in like the exciting Cedar Point where they have the roller coasters. This is Cedar Point, North Carolina. Yeah, that's what when I tell people I live near Jacksonville, and they would say, "Ooh, Florida." I'm like, nope, the other one.
Yeah. So wait, is there a theme park there?
In Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville, North Carolina?
Oh God, no.
No. Sorry, when you said Cedar Point, I got excited because
no, yeah, and it is a blip on the map.
It's a little team space.
Between Moorhead and Swansboro is the tiny hiccup known as Cedar Point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the folks watching / listening at home, what we're going to do is we're going to build the website on WordPress, and we use a WordPress hosting, signature hosting solution called WP Engine. For all of we manage about 70 different websites for various clients through there and counting. But it costs quite a bit more than like your standard hosting, but it's just like 10 times as good. So highly recommend that for anybody who's building a new website.
You get like economies of scale, like I'm sure there's a package deal, but yeah, like per site, it's significantly more, you're saying?
Per site. It's not, so like you're talking like 30-40 bucks a month versus like $100 a year to host.
Gotcha.
So like, it depends on your sort of cost threshold, but like our package includes 100 websites, and we spend significantly more than $30 a month, but our cost per site is way lower than $30 a month.
Okay.
Granted, like we do a lot of other things as part of our like hosting plans, including like maintaining the websites, updating plugins, stuff like that. So we charge sort of a premium for that service, but
awesome.
Yeah, so I recommend WP Engine for sure, for anybody who's wanting to do that. And then so I'm not gonna do any funky bells and whistles on this right now. I'm just gonna leave it as is. I guess I'm gonna just leave this smart plugin license because we have one available for that environment. So what this is gonna do is provision our website. I'm gonna need to black this out. Well, who cares? We host this website. It's not a big deal. Let me just do a quick pause share because I want to see. So it's being built right now. It's going to take a minute or two to propagate. So I'll check back in on like my email once that site is sort of propagated. The way it works with WP Engine is it's just going to build like a very base. It just puts like a basic WordPress install on that. And so I'll have like essentially like I'll create like my first login. What we're going to do while I'm waiting for that is pop over into Elegant Themes, which we use the Divi Theme builder for most of our client websites. It's like a template builder tool. I'm gonna go ahead and download the theme builder, and we'll get that installed on the website too. And that essentially is just like, it makes it a lot easier to manage the backend. Plus our team is like so super duper familiar with it that we're used to using it. So it just makes life a lot easier.
Awesome.
And then my recommendation is to kind of just stick with doing it that way, because otherwise, like to go ahead and choose and install the theme that you want to use on your website up front, because if you wait, then it's going to be more difficult to switch things out if you decide to use a different theme or something like that in the future.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Does.
Right. We did commit to doing your data brand, right?
.com, yes. Based on the closeness of the vote, the lack of statistical significance of the results. And it must be said, you know, because we're being full open kimono here, which is an expression that disgusts me in general. But I think, so I posted that post and you immediately noticed that I had mixed up the domains.
Yes.
So I had put it yourdatabrand.co and databrand.com, which obviously databrand.com, we wanted to see if it was there. It was taken. So like I punted the original post because I did it like right after I got done running and I had it drafted and I was like, oh God, and I'm like standing there trying to get it fired off at the optimum time. And yeah, like 20 minutes later, you texted me and said, hey, you messed it up. So I had to delete the post. I handed that post off to you.
Yeah.
You posted the original post. I wrote a new one, sent it back out. However, the algorithm still slaps you around a bit for posting twice. It used to be twice in a calendar day. Now it certainly seems like it's twice in a 24-hour period. You can overcome the slap of the algorithm if your post is just dynamite. My post was slightly above average at best. So I really believe that first poll, we probably would have got what we got the first time, which is about 250-ish votes. Wound up getting 100 and change. So yeah, anyway. Live and learn.
That's so interesting. I really can't wait to read your book.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
I'm trying not to boil the ocean with it. It's I could write 100 pages, but not going to.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I do have
like every topic, I sit there and I start going and I'm like, okay, gotta taper, gotta keep it manageable.
Yeah. And we already have a few people that have said they want to buy it. Did you know that?
Oh, I believe it. I don't know if I've seen that, but there are people, I mean, contacts of mine that are like, hey, you've got to write down all this stuff. I'm like, who has time for that? And then now I'm doing it anyway.
We'll get there eventually. Okay, so I got to reset my path. So basically, like my WordPress environment is provisioned. So I'm just going to do this. And then I'm going to pause my screen again and reset my password.
Still password 123.
Is that what I should put?
No, I'm kidding.
Password.
I mean, I hope I'm kidding. Is it really password 123?
No, it's going to be very chaotic. Let me resume share.
Do you ever accept like the Google ones where it's just like, you know, a monkey like hammer fisted the keyboard and then walked away? And it's like, hey, we're Google. We promised to store your password for you that makes no sense and never ever sell it to anyone. Pinky swear.
Yeah, no, I don't typically do that. I do use
that creeps me out.
Yeah, I do use LastPass to store most of our passwords and stuff, just because it's better that way. Okay, quick.
You guys are being very thorough.
I can hear.
Generally, I appreciate this. But...
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and, like I said before, I don't understand. I'm not sure why the Genesis blocks and stuff is in there, but we're gonna go ahead and go to themes and add new, and we're gonna upload the Divi theme that I got out of Elegant Themes earlier, and then we're gonna install it and activate it. It's gonna take a second, but the other thing is, like, Divi and other theme builders are good at reversing some of the clunkiness of WordPress. Like WordPress, when they upgraded to 5.0, which I can't remember the name of it, but whatever it was, it really became like, it was like almost too user friendly. There's a way to say that. like it was so front end user friendly. Like they were trying to, I think, compete a little bit with like the Wixes and the Squarespaces of the world to try and just create like a something that was just like it was too simplified, too oversimplified.
Yeah.
So anyways, I don't know, I'm not crazy about it, but that's just me. Okay. All right, so we put our Divi theme on the site. Now I'm going to go back into WP Engine real quick, and because I don't want to change too much before we kind of get this thing going. So I'm going to actually set the domain name, set the primary domain name, and WP Engine makes this really easy. Like it used to be, you had to go in and like make all these DNS changes and stuff like that. Now, as long as you purchase the domain and you're using like a common domain authentication tool like GoDaddy, or I'm sorry, domain registration like GoDaddy, they will actually look it up for you. So we're going to do yourdatabrand.com. Again, despite, I mean, the .co won it by 2 votes, but I don't feel like that's just statistically significant.
We're good. It's round down range, as we used to say. So
yeah,
the ship is sailed.
And then with this, we can also you can get like SSLs, meaning like your website will be more secure, like with like a security certificate license, and that's just nice because like pretty much every site nowadays should be listed with HTTPS.
Yeah, I was wondering, that used to be kind of an oddity, when you would type in the HTTP and you'd be like, oh, it's secured. Now it seems like just about every site, like if it's not there, you're like, oh, there's some sketchy stuff. Oh.
Well, and your browser will identify it as,
yeah, it'll give you are you sure you want to do this? You are venturing into, I feel like I'm going on the dark web at that point, where the browser is like, batten down the hatches for the viruses, boys.
Exactly. So okay, so now we've gone ahead and changed the primary domain from that temporary domain, which was like yourdatabrand.wpengine.com to yourdatabrand.com.
Cool.
It may or may not, okay, it's already loaded, which
hello world.
Hello world. Yeah, it's got like
universal signal that you did something right.
Yeah, some default stuff in there. So now if I go back into my login, it's gonna say that I've like been logged out because actually, where is that? I don't see it here. Because I can't, here it is, yeah. Because my domain has changed, so I needed to pull up my new one. So I'm just gonna go to, again, for the folks listening at home who want to do their own thing, build their own WordPress website. It's whatever your domain is /wp-admin is how to log in.
Oh, dark web.
Don't worry about this. Don't worry about it right now.
Unsafe, forever unclean.
I'm gonna pause my share so I can copy my password. I don't know why anybody would have a desire to
hack our blank website.
Yeah, it seems kind of silly to me, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and add that to my LastPass. So I've got it stored, and then I think the reason that it's showing not secured right now is because the SSLs are still being provisioned in WP Engine.
Okay.
That can take a little bit of time, but once they're procured, everything should be essentially good to go. But yeah, so right now we just have like basically nothing. It's just the skin, the bones, not the skin, it's the bones of the website. I thought it would be fun to just, do like a quick little like logo. we want to do your data brand as the brand name, or do we want to do data brand? That's a question. We should try and
I think we keep the your in there because it's, I mean, like we talked about last time, it identifies it as a service for one, but for two, it's, it kind of gives it some air of self-service. So when you're talking about, your networking, your social media, it's, the product is something that's helping people fix their own situation. I'm not, at current, I'm not planning to sell, organized LinkedIn coaching. I'm selling you a book so that, you can do it yourself.
right. Yeah. Let me just go ahead and I think the D, this is going to be so like textbook. I like to use Canva for like little projects too, just for the record.
Yeah. I need to get better at it. It's one of those kind of, I don't say like low level skills, but it's not one of those like tech stack things that gets you excited. Like, oh yeah, I'm really gonna kill it once I, become this master Python coder or something like that. It's, Canva is just kind of like, oh, that's like for, just regular jamokes to like make graphics and stuff. But the people that are good at it, it's an amazing tool. It's so much easier and better looking than putzing around trying to do the same thing in PowerPoint, which was, what I did before. So,
right. Same.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, one of these days I actually have a pretty good Canva course bought, and I've only done kind of the intro parts of it. It's one of those things that it's like, one of these days I really need to go back and finish that. And because that's just a skill that pays huge dividends.
I think just like some basic blocking and tackling stuff can really be valuable.
I mean, I can stumble my way through making a YouTube thumbnail for my personal channel, but that's about it. I just
right. Same.
Just kind of figured out how to do that. That already looks kind of sexy. I like that.
Like it?
Yeah. Well, I'm a sucker for, like 80s video game graphics. So
Well, I definitely have the kind of like neon glow behind that one.
Yeah.
Let's do like, I think I have some branded colors in here.
Honestly, I think if I ever make like $1 billion, the first thing I'm going to do is like build myself a video arcade where I can just sit there and be like, no, I'm just going to sit here and play Terminator 2 without any money until I freaking beat this thing, instead of like, pumping $20 worth of quarters in it like I used to.
We have an arcade here in Greensboro, bar, like one of those bar arcades.
Yeah.
Called Boxcar, and they have Addams Family Pinball, which is like all-time favorite. And I could just play that forever.
Pinball was just a shade before my time. Like I never got the attraction. I was always like, I'd put a quarter in, like lose in like 30 seconds and be like, well, that was dumb.
Really? When you say before your time, can you define that for me?
I mean, so when I was 4, I moved to Australia, and pinball was not that big of a thing there. And I lived there till I was 11. And so there's just a lot of things that are kind of very American trends. And I never really went roller skating until I was like a teenager. Just things they weren't into in Australia in the 80s never really became part of my atmosphere. So there's certain movies people love, like A Christmas Story. I think A Christmas Story is stupid. And largely because it just wasn't part of my childhood. So when I finally watched it, I was like, this is dumb. Like, you all think this is funny. So, and I think you had to watch it as a kid to really like it. But yeah, Spaceballs is another one. Don't think Spaceballs is funny. It didn't do well in the Australian market. Nobody there was quoting it or watching it 50 times in a row.
See,
People start quoting Spaceballs. I'm like, not for me.
I like a lot of those Mel Brooks films personally, but
I mean, Blazing Saddles is brilliant. Truly like comic masterpiece. So even the Robin Hood one was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked that one also with Carrie Ells.
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty tame by that point. Certainly there's so many things in Blazing Saddles you just couldn't possibly do today or even in the 90s when Robin Hood came out. But
well, he had the scene with the sword where he's singing to her and the guys are standing behind the curtain and then they see the sword go up and it looks like it's his member.
Yeah, there's probably a few jokes in Men in Tights he couldn't do anymore. So.
Oh my gosh. Tights. All right. So I've just been screwing around with this while we've been chatting. And the Divi builder has functions and features that make a lot of this stuff pretty easy to do. I'm just going to go through and save changes on this right now just so we can have super duper rudimentary phase 1 of our site up. So we've got our logo. So I think from this point, what we'll do is I'll create a login for you so that you can access the website. And then probably next time we can spend some time going through and actually doing some blocking and tackling, what kind of content do we want to talk about? How do we want to categorize things? And then we'll also get analytics on the website and do some things so that we can start to track traffic going here. So we should have analytics set up before next time so we can track so by the time people see this video, we can actually see that people that come from YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever else. And
absolutely.
I think it would be good to go ahead and get a MailChimp. We can create a free MailChimp account so that people can sign up for our future newsletter, and we can track MailChimp signups as a goal in analytics and start to actually apply and use some data.
For sure. Is that going to be a separate episode, or you want to just do that in between?
I think we should do an episode on it because I've been getting feedback people want to watch the whole process. So I think for those people that are trying to essentially do something similar, we can kind of peel back the curtain and show them behind the scenes.
Yeah. No, my only experience with MailChimp was, you set up a fake account for the Google digital marketing course, which I still haven't finished, but I did get through the email marketing chapter. But
good.
Yeah, good stuff.
Sweet, man. All right. Well, I will I'll get you to log in. I don't think we need to show that on the
I think we'll be all right. People know how to get logins and passwords.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. All righty. Well,
Progress.
Sounds good. And I'll send that over to you. Okay. Thanks.
See you, man. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.